Hello, everyone. My name is John Locke. I'd like to welcome you to the LockeInYourSuccess.com Trading Performance Podcast, where it's all about real traders, real problems, and real coaching. This is episode number 48, and today I'd like to discuss a common theme that I have with people who would like to become traders so that they can either maybe quit their job or go into retirement and produce an income so they can have some more time freedom and do the things that they'd really like to do and what's more important to them in their lives. Therefore, I thought a great topic for today would be how to trade for a living successfully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some information with you from a program we have called the Trading Triangle. Now, the Trading Triangle is a program that I put together and held in Maui with a group of more experienced options traders about creating a business through trading. And this topic I found so important and so exciting. What I decided to do, or Stephen and I decided to do, Stephen, for those of you who may not know him, is our top options mentor. Stephen and I have put together a webinar for later this month, June 30th at 1 p.m. Eastern, that discusses the 3 essential elements for creating a successful trading business. This is going to be a fantastic webinar, and I hope that you sign up to take a look at it. It's completely free. There's obviously no risk in coming. Simply take a look for a link in the description and click that link and follow that link, and that should bring you there. You could also go to LockeInYourSuccess.com. That's LOCKE in yoursuccess.com. Look for trading courses and then trading performance courses, and go down to the Trading Triangle, and you should see a form there where you can register for this special webinar. In the meantime, let me share an excerpt with you from the Trading Triangle that talks about some things you really should think about before you attempt to go out and trade for a living so that you can maximize your success in trading for a living successfully. So settle in and enjoy the excerpt. So my average discussion with a trader, how can I help you? They call me up. How can I help you? Well, I want to trade full time. Okay. Tell me about your strategy. What are your results so far? How have you been doing? And they'll say something like, well, I started doing the whatever trade, I don't know, 2 years ago or 6 months ago, and I haven't lost in 6 months. And or they might say, well, I did 50% a year for the last 2 years, or something like that. And hopefully they're following some sort of process, because a lot of the times they're not. A lot of the times they've never even traded live, so they got that going for them. But assuming they're trading live and they're following some sort of process, I'm like, okay, great. Well, what's your plan for when your strategy stops working? And I get silence. They're like, what do you mean? It's always worked. Really? How do you know? Well, it worked for 6 months. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense. Well, how do you know it works for more than 6 months? Well, I back tested it. They just come under this assumption that whatever they're doing is going to keep working. And we talked about that earlier, that's just a bad assumption for any business. It doesn't matter what it is. So anyway, I just kind of let that pass. I say, well, let's go a little deeper anyway. What's your net worth? How much is liquid? What are your yearly expenses? How much money are you going to trade with? What are your expectations? And what are you planning to have for other sources of income? And that's the question they focus in on. Other sources of income? Well, I'm not going to have other sources of income. I'm just going to trade. Oh, okay. All right, well, what's your net worth? Well, gee, I don't really know, but I have, I don't know, $250,000 or something like that cash, and gosh, I make $100,000 a year, and I think I spend $8,000 a month, but I could probably spend $5,000 a month. But in other words, they don't really know. So, then I'm like, well, how much money are you going to trade with? And they're like, well, I can trade with whatever they happen to have, $250,000. And, what are your expectations? So I want to know all this type of stuff. When it comes to that, I say, well, have you ever actually run a business before? And running a business is not like having a job. And I don't care what business is. You don't have a regular paycheck. You can't depend on having the same amount of money every month. You're going to have months where you're going to have periods of time where you make a ton of money. You're going to have periods of time where you break even. You'll have periods of time where you lose money. Therefore, you need to budget very, very carefully, because poor budgeting and lack of capital is the primary cause of failure for nearly any type of business, and it's especially true for trading business, because your trading account is the golden goose. It is the thing that provides you with income, and you cannot take money out of that account below a certain level for any reason. Otherwise, you're reducing your income, especially if you're on a tight budget. In addition to that, if you don't make enough money in a particular month, you can't take your expenses out of there. If you lose money, not only can't you take your expenses out of there, but you also have to put money back in your trading account so that you can keep it at the level that you have, so you can continue to make the money that you need to make. And you still have to have enough left over to pay your expenses. And even if you go in and you make a mistake, or something weird happens, and you lose every penny in the trade that you have to have enough money to refund that account, to pay your expenses, and to do it in a manner where you have an abundance mindset. Because the moment you go into a scarcity mindset as a trader, it is frickin' over, my friends. The market owns your ass, and you're out of business. You're gone. So you need to make sure that you're going to be able to handle that. And usually that turns most people off. But that is the truth. That is the truth, and that's what you need to think about. You cannot be trading in a scarcity mindset. If you want to become a full-time trader, what am I looking for? I'm looking for, if you want my endorsement anyway, if that matters to you, I'm looking for a trading methodology that works, or some sort of a system or a process that's worked and it has a track record. And not just back testing, some actual live testing. I want to know that you understand the weaknesses of the system. I want to make sure that you don't think you have the holy grail and it's going to work forever, because it doesn't exist. So I want to be able to ask you, when is your system going to lose? And I want to be able to get an answer for that. I want to know what you're going to do in the time periods where your methodology isn't appropriate for the market. It's going to phase whatever trade you're doing, whatever it is. I don't care if it's one of my systems or anybody else's. There's going to be a period of time where that's not going to work, and there's going to be extended periods of time sometimes. What is your plan for doing it? Do you have another methodology that works in the environment your trade's not going to work in? Again, you should know what environment that is. Are you going to stop trading? Do you have the capital assets where you can just stop trading for a while until the market comes back into favor for what you're doing? You're going to reduce size, like I said, backup methodologies. Do you have a way of identifying the problematic environment? All right, these are all very good questions that you should be answering. Then we're going to look at people's resources. What's your net worth? What are your liquid assets? Most people don't know. I mean, you guys probably do. You're a little higher educated, but most people don't really know what their net worth is. They usually don't know what their true expenses are. Keeping in mind, too, when we go from having an employment, having a job, to going to a trading business, our expenses are probably going to increase fairly significantly, because your tax structure might be different. Health insurance is huge. If you work for somebody that's providing you with health insurance, somebody that's not only can you, for my personal experience, my wife paid around, I think we paid around $800 a month. She had a government job for her health insurance. They paid half of that. So it doubles right there. Not only that, we can't buy that policy for any cost, because it's a good policy, covers a lot, but we can't buy that for any cost. The only programs we can buy, because we're self-employed, are the Obamacare programs, which are pretty much the same amount of money, except they don't cover anything. So not only am I'm going from an $800 payment to a $1,600 payment, and then I'm going to a plan that covers almost everything, to something that doesn't even kick in till 13 grand. It's paid out the window. So I'm going from, what's the cost difference here? It's like 300%, right? Huge, huge difference. So you got to think about that. You also need to think about, what's going on with your retirement. If you're not in the retirement age already, if you're younger, you might have a job that's contributing to your 401k, and they might be matching. And you still need to put money in your retirement. So you're going to need to go ahead and figure out a way to fund that. Again, that's more money that comes out of your pocket. And you're going to have additional business expenses. When you start relying on trading as an income, you're going to need backup systems. You might need an office, I don't know, and computers and stuff. And it's a lot more expensive than you think. You don't really think about it when you're just kind of taking out of your paycheck anyway. You're getting your paycheck and you're not really controlling your budget. You don't realize how much that money actually goes into trading. But when that money has to come out of your trading account, just all of a sudden it becomes very noticeable. So those are the types of things that we're looking at. In addition to, people don't do this, especially employees, the key to wealth is to spend less than you make. So if you spend $5,000 a month and you want to make $5,000 a month trading to pay your expenses, that's not a good long-term plan. Even if that's what you've been doing in the past with your job, that's not a good long-term plan, because you have to build a regular savings account, you have to build your retirements, you have to save for major expenses, stuff like that. In addition to that, you need to put money aside to rebuild your trading account if things go poorly, and you need to increase the trading account size itself. Do you ever want to raise? Do you want to make more money? So in order to do that, you need to increase your account size. So we have some tools that we put together for this stuff that is going to help you with this. So I put together just an example of this guy who has a current income of $100,000. They want to trade an M3 strategy. They have a budget where they think they spend $6,250 a month, and they have a net worth of $500,000, $250,000 cash, $150,000 home equity. We'll go over this in the sheets. Okay, I'm going to stop here for now. What I'd like to do is let you absorb the information that you got in the podcast today, and then we're going to have part 2 of this, which gets more in depth in this powerful subject on the next podcast. So make sure that you watch out for our episode 49, where we'll give you part 2 of trading for a living successfully. Also, make sure you join our special webinar at the end of the month. That's June 30th at 1 p.m. Eastern on the 3 essential elements needed for a successful trading business. It's going to be a fantastic presentation. Again, if you'd like to sign up for or register for this free webinar, this is a full-on webinar. It'll be at least an hour, and there's going to be a ton of information in there. If you have any interest in aspiring for freedom from your job or going into retirement and producing a reliable income through trading. And again, to sign up for that, simply check for a link in the description below, or go to lockinyoursuccess.com. That's LOCKE in yoursuccess.com. Click on trading courses, trading performance courses, and go down to the trading triangle. It tells you all about the program itself, and it'll have a registration form that you can fill out to make sure you get this powerful information. Also, while you're there, be sure to check out our trading performance membership and register to receive any update that we have regarding the Trading Performance podcast, free webinars, and our trading performance membership, so that you too can skyrocket your trading and produce fantastic results in your life. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on the next Trading Performance podcast, and then on our special webinar, the 3 essential elements for a successful trading business. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.